Yo, what's going on, guys? In today's video, we are going to cover some of the most dangerous financial advice that I could find on the internet or that you've probably heard before. I pretty much spent the past day going through the depths of Reddit and random financial blogs trying to find the worst financial advice that people have received. And this is a pretty dense list, so I'll try not to make the video too long, so grab some popcorn, let's get into it, and let me know what's the worst financial advice you have ever received in the comments down below. So the first piece of bad advice on the list here is that you'll hear people tell you you're young or you're in your 20s, so therefore you do not need to worry about retirement. And in my opinion, this could not be further from the truth. And look, I'll be the bad guy and I'll say what no one wants to admit, but the reality is 98% of us at some point are probably going to retire with a 9 to 5. And I know, I get it, it's very far away, whatever you want to say, but the earlier you can get ahead of saving or investing for retirement, the easier your life's going to get. Even 50 to 100 bucks a month in your 20s is going to make a huge difference, and you won't be playing catch up when you get to your 30s or 40s, because that game of catch up is where a lot of people start stressing because they have families and they have mortgages and X, Y, and Z. So for me, this falls into the maybe you'll recover category. I think the earlier you can plan for retirement, the better. You don't need to obsess over it, but at least be proactive about it to reduce some of that financial stress. The next piece of bad financial advice you'll come across on the internet is people telling you that if you study enough, you can time the market. And these are typically people who try to either sell you courses or who try to get you to subscribe to their YouTube channel. And this is probably some of the worst financial advice you could ever receive. Never try to time the market. It doesn't matter how many, candle charts you look at. It doesn't matter how much, macroeconomic studies you do. No person in the history of the universe has ever been able on a consistent basis to time what direction the market is going or to time when the market's going to move up or down. It's just one of those things that the market does what the market wants to do, and we just hold on for the ride. So if you want to get into investing and you hear people telling you you can study, you can do this, you can buy my course and we know what's going to happen, they don't. They're just trying to get your money. If you want to get into investing, just invest on a consistent basis, whatever you're comfortable with, and just never try to time the market, because more than likely, if you try to time the market, buying and selling, you're probably going to lose money. So this financially cooked advice, do not listen to this. The next piece of terrible financial advice you'll hear on the internet is people who might tell you, all right, you want to make more money than investing in stocks, you need to try trading options. And at first, look, options, when you first think about it, it's very exciting. But for most people, the average person, this is probably one of the fastest ways to lose your money. Options are very complicated. They move very fast, and they can wipe your money pretty much to zero instantaneously and a lot faster than normal stocks. And in my opinion, options trading is not so much investing at that point. It's a lot closer to gambling if you do not know what you're doing, but you're trying to get into it. And especially social media can make options trading look very easy and look like you're going to get a lot of big wins. But once again, you'll never see the losses or behind the scenes of this options trading, and most beginners jump in thinking that they're going to beat the market, and then they end up losing all their money. Now, if you're experienced and you trade options strategically and you know what you're doing, obviously I'm not talking about you, but people who tell the average person to start trading options to make more money is honestly terrible advice. You will be financially cooked if you listen to this, advice and you're a beginner and you want to start trading options. Just kiss your money goodbye at that point. The next piece of terrible financial advice is when people tell you you need to quit your job, and follow your passion, or do what you love and the money will follow. This is just terrible advice, if I'm being honest. Obviously I get the mindset, we only live once, we want to enjoy our lives. I don't want to be stuck at a dead end 9 to 5 that I hate. But once again, for the average person, quitting your job and following your passion, if it means foreclosing on your house and not being able to feed your family, it's probably a terrible idea. Also, doing what you love and the money will follow, that's just not true. I love playing video games. I'm not going to get rich playing video games unless I hit it big on YouTube or something like that. So at the end of the day, Anyone who's telling you to do this is just bad financial advice. I understand the principle behind it, but once again, for us to believe that all of us can do this and still live normal lives is very unrealistic. This advice I'm going to put in the maybe you'll recover category, because a lot of people do quit their jobs and follow their passions, and then like 5 years later they end up back in a 9 to 5. So I don't think you're financially cooked if you try this. I definitely think you can recover if you try this, but still bad financial advice. Next piece of terrible financial advice you'll come across on the internet is athletes or celebrities telling you that things they own are essential. And I'm going to pick on, a lot of the athletes who go on GQ Essentials. I don't know if you guys watch it. I'm big into sports, so I like watching it. And you'll get like celebrities on there or athletes who are like, yeah, my Lamborghini Urus is an essential of mine. Oh, I can't go anywhere without my $500,000 Richard Mille. Oh yeah, my $400,000 Cuban chain, that's really essential to my life. It's like, okay, none of these are actually essential, and half of them promote their own brands. So anything a celebrity or athlete is telling you is essential to their life, that's not food, water, or shelter, they're probably just trying to profit off of you. So don't listen to any of this advice. And if people try to make you believe that you need the quote unquote essentials that athletes or celebrity needs, they're just lying to you. So if you follow this advice or you buy what celebrities and athletes buy because that's their essentials, you're just financially cooking yourself. Please don't do this. This is probably one of the worst things you can do for your finances. Next piece of terrible, godforsaken financial advice here is people who are going to tell you you're young, you're in your 20s, you need to take big risks to be successful. And the thing is, I know there's a whole bunch of success stories of like an 18-year-old kid who decided to go all in on a cryptocurrency and now he's in a penthouse. And the thing is, you're going to find success stories on the internet left and right. But once again, for the average person, is taking a huge risk for trying to find success in your 20s a good idea? Probably not, especially if it's not super thought out and you have absolutely no plan B, C, or D. It's probably not going to work out. And I understand people are going to say like, oh, you're young, you need to take a risk. And if it fails, you have all this time to recover. I understand that viewpoint, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a good idea to take massive, unnecessary risks in your 20s to be marginally successful. Now, granted, if you have like Kevin O'Leary walk up to you and shake your hand and say, hey, we can go on this business venture together. Okay, maybe that's a different story. But if you're over here and you're using your last penny trying to start, a clothing company, maybe it's time to get a 9 to 5 and then we can worry about the other stuff. So I think this, in my opinion, I'm going to put it here. I don't think it's the best advice. I don't think it's the worst advice. This is very situational advice, but for the majority of people, I would stay away from taking big unnecessary risks in your 20s. Next up is terrible boomer financial advice. This is the go-to boomer thing to tell every millennial or Gen Z, and the advice is always buy a house because renting is a waste of money. And this is like the solid old school advice that every boomer falls on, but it's just way too black and white, especially in 2026. Look, buying a house is great, right? It's a great thing. It's a goal of mine. I would love to buy a house one day, but it's not always the best move, and renting is not always throwing money away. There is a lot of hidden costs that people ignore when it comes to buying a house. There's maintenance, there's property tax, there's interest rates, there's insurance, and those can add up really fast. And renting is not just throwing money away if you're if you're paying to be very flexible in your lifestyle, you want a little bit of lower responsibility, and sometimes even saving money depending on how the market is moving. So if you're not ready to stay in one place for a while or your finances aren't stable, renting is actually a better option because buying can put you in a pretty tough spot. So a house can definitely be a great investment if the timing and situation makes sense, But saying you should always buy versus renting because renting's throwing money away, that's just plain wrong advice. And if you listen to this, this can definitely financially cook you. This can put you in a very, very terrible situation if you buy a house and you're not ready for it. Next up is probably my personal least favorite advice that I see on the internet, and that's people telling you you need a financial advisor. And look, I know there's older people out there who don't necessarily know how to use YouTube and educate themselves and don't really know what to do with money, and they might get financial advisors. But in my opinion, I always think financial advisors are like grimy people. Like, I just don't think they actually have your best interest in mind. Now, granted, I've never used a financial advisor, but like recent story, I was just trying to roll over my 401k from my old company to my new company. And the 401k company was like trying to like sell me on a financial advisor. And I'm like, bro, I do not need a financial advisor. Like, I put my money in VU and I chill. I don't need a financial advisor to get a split of my money to tell me not to buy Bitcoin. Like, it's just not who I need. That's not who I want. And truthfully, I think financial advisors take a lot of advantage of people who don't know anything about finances. This is not the best or worst advice because, once again, some older people might need financial advisors because, once again, they might not know how to educate themselves. But all in all, if you're young and you know how to use the internet, stay away from financial advisors. Teach yourself everything. It's really not that hard. Next up is a lot of people will tell you to only use credit cards, right? Like, use your credit cards for everything and then pay your debt at the end of the month. This is not my favorite financial advice. I do understand where people are coming from because you're trying to take advantage of the points and the cash back. But once again, I'm going to say this a lot in this video. For the average person, most people have no control when it comes to credit cards, and it's a lot of psychology, right? If you know you're using a credit card, you might spend a little more. You might buy a few more things because you're like, oh, I'm using a credit card, I'll just pay it back at the end of the month. And then when that $2,000 bill comes at the end of the month, you're like, oh crap, I can't pay this. So I'm going to put this in the maybe you'll recover category. Once again, I understand where people are coming from when they try to, hack the banks when they do this. Like, they try to, have a one-up on the bank only using credit cards. But for the majority of people, unless you're super, super disciplined with your finances, I would probably stay away from this. If you do this already, you're probably fine. You definitely could recover. But all in all, I'd probably shy away from this unless you're super disciplined. Next piece of bad financial advice is people telling you to only save your money. Don't invest, don't pay debt off. Just save your money. All you got to do is just have a huge pile of cash. This advice is not good. I used to be in this mindset where all I would do is save money, and I lost so many years of solid investing because I only saved my money. That's all I did. And granted, I got to the point where I had like $50,000 in cash, but I wish I invested all of that. I'd be way better off right now. So at the end of the day, saving's great. Having an emergency fund is amazing. I like having cash on hand. That's a great thing to do. But only saving your money is not good advice. I don't think it's the best advice, obviously, but I also don't think it's the worst advice because at least you're saving money. But definitely don't treat this as like a strategic way to increase your finances. Next up is the Dave Ramsey special. This is people telling you that all debt is bad. There's no good debt, right? This sounds responsible, right? It's like, oh, okay, cool. All debt is bad. Let me just throw away my credit cards. But it's just way too extreme. Not all debt is the same. High interest debt like credit cards, yeah, of course that's bad. That's going to hurt you. But things like a mortgage or even some student loans that can actually potentially help you build wealth or increase your earning potential over time, not the worst thing in the world. If you avoid all debt no matter what, you can also miss out on a lot of opportunities like buying a home or starting a business. The real issue isn't debt itself, in my opinion. It's how you actually manage it. If you have poor debt management skills, then probably all debt is bad. But if you are semi-decent at managing debt and trying to pay it off fast, it's not terrible. This is maybe you'll recover. I don't think you'll be financially cooked if you follow this advice because you'll be avoiding debt. But saying all debt's bad is a little too extreme for me. Next up on the list here is people telling you, saying, hey man, you need to take out a loan and you need to go to the best school possible. This is some of the worst financial advice in my opinion. I've been in the workforce now out of college for 4 years. I graduated college in 2022. The amount of times I've had someone ask me what college I went to is a grand total of 0. No one cares at the end of the day. While yes, a better school might look good on your resume, as long as you have solid, work experience, you're probably going to be able to get a good job. And 99% of people, once you're in the actual workforce, do not care what school you went to. So if you listen to this advice and you pull out a $500,000 loan to go to an amazing school, you are just absolutely financially cooking yourself. Now, granted, I'm not in the medical field. I don't know if that changes this at all. If you're in the medical field, definitely enlighten me. But for someone who's in data analytics, you do not need to go to the best school possible. Go to a school that's affordable, pay your school off, get a job. No one's going to care what college you went to. Next up on the list here is people telling you, saying, don't save your money. You need to invest all your money. Get all your money in the stock market. This also is terrible advice. The reason why is because if you get laid off or something bad happens or you have an emergency, you need some type of cash. And obviously, like let's say your Roth IRA, you can pull out your contributions and use that money, but you don't really want to touch anything that's invested. That's the way I look at it. When I think about investing, I think of that money as spent money, so I don't ever want to pull that out. That's why I keep cash on me, because I want to have cash on me in case things happen, emergencies happen, whatever it might be. So people who tell you to only invest your money and you don't need to save money and you just need to have everything in the market growing, it's not the worst advice, right? But, you got to plan for emergencies, right? I know we don't want to think about it, but you got to. This is maybe you'll recover. I wouldn't do this, but you can definitely recover if you do invest everything. Next piece of terrible financial advice, I saw this on Reddit a lot, is people telling you not to take a pay raise or a promotion because you're going to get put into a higher tax bracket and pay more taxes. And this might sound logical, but this is just straight up wrong. The United States uses a progressive tax system, which means only the portion of your income in a higher tax bracket gets taxed at that higher rate, not your entire salary. So even if your raise bumps you into a new tax bracket, you're still taking home more money overall. You are never making less just because you got a raise. And people hear this and end up turning down opportunities or avoiding, payoffs or growth for no reason. So this is financially cooked advice. If anyone ever tells you to not take a pay raise because of the new financial bracket you're going to be in, either never talk to them again or try to educate them as much as you can. Next up, actually, this is number one, my least favorite advice you'll ever hear. There's people who will tell you, I've heard this plenty in my life, that investing is the same as gambling. Here's the thing. There's multiple different realms of investing. Investing is like an umbrella, right? There's a whole bunch of different routes you can go. But standard investing into stocks, into ETFs, into index funds, it is not even close to gambling. People who tell you investing is like gambling probably are the last people you would ever want to take any type of financial advice from, or not even financial advice. Don't even take life advice from these people because they have no idea what they're talking about. This one infuriates me. It gets my blood boiling. It's on site when I hear people say this. So anyone who tells you investing is gambling, once again, just never talk to those people again. This is absolutely financially cooked advice. If you listen to people who tell you investing is gambling so you don't invest your money, you are missing out on so much growth and so much financial progress. It's silly. So please do not listen to this advice. Investing is nowhere near gambling. It's not even in the same realm. Gambling is a way different beast to lose your money. If you just invest properly into long growth assets, you're not even going to lose money. So don't listen to this advice. Next up on the list here is people are going to tell you liquidate your 401k or a certain part of your 401k so you can buy a house. And this might sound like a smart way to get into a home faster, but it can set you way back in the long term. So don't listen to this advice. When you cash out a 401k early, you're usually going to get hit with taxes and on top of taxes, a penalty. So you're losing a chunk of that money right away. On top of that, you're pulling money out of one of the best long-term investment tools you have. That's money that's supposed to grow for decades. And once it's gone, it's going to take you a very long time to get that money back. So there might be situations where it could make sense, but overall for the average person is as general advice, this is financially cooked advice. Never touch any of the money in your 401k. I do not care if you want to buy a house. Let that money grow, forget that money exists, and when you retire, then you can use it for buying a house. Next up on the list here is people telling you that the only way you're going to be successful is if you have multiple income streams. In my opinion, this is like the brain rot of the financial community. I personally hate this advice, and pretty much every YouTuber in the financial space is going to tell you that you need multiple income streams to be successful. My least favorite thing about this advice is how easy they make it sound. Like, every YouTuber you listen talk to about multiple income streams, they make it sound like tomorrow afternoon, all of us can have 5 different income streams, and like we're lazy idiots for not thinking like this. It's not realistic. Like, having multiple income streams is way harder than it sounds. It's a lot of time and effort. And if you work a 9 to 5 and have a family, this is not realistic. If we're just being honest, like, it's not easy to have 3 different income streams. It's for some people, it's hard to have one. So why are we talking about 5? If that makes sense. So I think this, even though I hate on this advice, obviously it's not the worst advice. Like, they just want you to make more money, but it's also not the best advice. And if anyone's making you believe that the only way you'll be successful is from multiple income streams, they're just lying to you. That's just not realistic. You can be totally fine and comfortable in life off of one income stream. Next piece of terrible financial advice here is people telling you to wait for the housing market to crash. And this sounds very logical, just like a stock market. Like, oh, I'm just going to wait for the market to crash and then I'll just buy everything I want. Doesn't work like that. No one can time the stock market. No one can time the housing market. They're literally one for one the same. Timing the housing market is just as hard. So you're usually going to miss out a lot more than what you could gain by buying a house when you're ready. And while you're waiting, prices and interest rates are going to move probably against you. So you're going to end up way worse off than if you would have just bought a house when you were ready. And a lot of people wait years for the market to crash while the market just keeps going up. And there's nothing wrong with being patient. Buying a house should be something you put a lot of time, a lot of effort into the research, into the logistics behind it. But if you are in a position where you're ready to buy a house, you can't afford a house, you know where you want to live, you're very set in stone on everything, I personally would not wait for the house market to crash because you don't know when that's going to be. And the last thing you want is to wait too long and just, watch the prices go up. And just like the stock market, even if the housing market does crash, at some point it's going to correct and go up. So your house is going to be a great asset. Even at the end of the day and you buy it at an all-time high now, more than likely, as the years go by, it's just going to keep going up in value. So this is maybe you'll recover advice. I don't think you're financially cooked if you wait for this, just because not everyone wants a house. So this is very situational too, but I think you could recover just by buying a house when you're ready. Next up here is a lot of people will tell you, hey, you only get married once, hopefully. You need to go all in on your wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Bro, look at the prices on this screenshot right now. These prices are disgusting. I don't care what you believe when it comes to weddings. No one should be spending this much money on a wedding. I'll be the bad guy and say it here. These are just ridiculous, right? And like, if you're thinking about getting married and your girl is telling you need to spend $50K on a wedding, show her this video or something, because this is just ridiculous. No one needs to spend this much money on a wedding. If you two love each other, that's amazing. You don't need $50,000 to cement your love together. That is just not how it works. So this is financially cooked advice. If you go all in on a wedding and you spend anything over, like, I don't even know, $10,000 maybe, you're just wasting your money. And for these prices, you go buy a house. You go put a down payment on a house and chill. Like, I don't know how people spend so much money on weddings. Maybe that's a me thing, but don't listen to this advice. You'll be financially cooked if you spend $50K on a wedding. Next up, another piece of my least favorite advice is you'll hear people say, bro, go buy a new car because new cars cost less. You have no maintenance with a new car. You have warranty. It doesn't matter if the payment's $500. It's a brand new car. This is terrible financial advice. Like, are you really going to sit there and say that a new car is going to cost you less over time than a 2010 Toyota Corolla? No, you're not, because that's not how it works. If you buy a used, reliable car, it's one of the best financial decisions you could ever make. The problem is people like to have a doomer mindset when they talk about used cars. So you'll say, hey man, instead of buying a new car, you should buy a used car. And they're like, oh, what, a $2,000 piece of shit that's going to break down on me? No, I didn't say that. All I'm saying is go buy a used, reliable car, like a Toyota, like a Honda, that doesn't break down. And when it does break down, you could either A, fix it yourself, or B, take it to a mechanic and they could fix it for really cheap. So I will argue this all day with you guys. Buying a new car will always cost more than buying a cheap, used, reliable car. This is financially cooked advice. This will put you in a terrible financial situation. Next up on the list here is people who tell you don't talk about money. I'm not a fan of this advice. Obviously, I have a whole YouTube channel focused around money. I see no issue with talking about money. I put my finances on the internet for you guys to roast me. Now, obviously, for security reasons, like if I was a multimillionaire, maybe I wouldn't talk about my personal finances so much. But truthfully, like I don't have a lot of money to my name, so I'm not too worried about it. Also, don't talk about money. They don't even talk about it in schools. So how are we supposed to learn anything? So this goes both ways. Like I understand people who don't feel comfortable talking about money because it's a very vulnerable thing to talk about. But at the same time, we need to have money conversations for all of us to be educated more when it comes to finances. And if none of us were talking about money, none of us would really know what we're doing when it came to finances because that's how we learn and grow. Overall, I don't think this is the best advice. I don't think it's the worst advice. I just think if you're comfortable about it, there's no reason you shouldn't talk about it. And obviously, if you don't feel comfortable about it, then I respect that. Don't talk about money. Next piece of bad financial advice here is people who tell you that, oh, you need to watch out for dips. The stock market's down today. You need to protect your money, pull your money out, be defensive. This is terrible financial advice. If the stock market's down, I don't know, 1%, 2%, whatever it might be, and you have people texting you or telling you online that you need to pull your money out and protect it, these people have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Look, here, I'm going to put it very simple for you guys. If you're in your 20s, more than likely, you're not going to pull profit or take, money out of your investments for the next at least 15 to 30 years if you're in your 20s. So if the stock market's down 2% today, why would you care? If you're not pulling profits for another 20 years, why would you care what's happening today? I don't. That's why I don't even look at the stock market. And if the stock market's down, for me, that's just a buying opportunity. So anyone who tells you to watch out for dips or to protect your money and pull it out, don't listen to these people. These people have no idea what they're talking about. This is just bad financial advice, and you will be financially cooked because every time the market dips, you're either going to stress yourself out or you're going to pull out your money and lose out on profit. So don't do this. Don't listen to these people. Keep investing consistently. You'll be fine. Here's some of my favorite terrible financial advice, and this is people who tell you, oh, you got to lease a car. Forget buying a new car. Forget buying a used car. You need to lease a car because the monthly payments are cheaper. And a lot of people fall for this advice because they do the financing tool, and they're like, oh, yeah, leasing a car is $150 cheaper a month. Why would I not lease a car? Well, because overall, it's not cheaper. You're basically paying to use the car for a few years and then give it right back with nothing to show for it. And if you keep leasing, you're stuck in a cycle of payments forever because that's how they get you, because every 2 to 3 years, you can upgrade that car. With buying, eventually, the car gets paid off and you can drive it for years with no extra payment. Now, that said, leasing, I'll be devil's advocate, can make sense in certain situations if you always want a new car or you want to drive a low mileage car or it fits your budget for the short term. But for the average person, it just doesn't make sense. It's, once again, very situational. For the average person, buy a used, cheap, reliable car. Don't think leasing a car is going to save you any amount of money. And if you're one of those people that you always want to be driving a new car, good for you, but bro, it's not that serious, dude. You don't need a new car every 2 years. So this you could recover, because if you lease a car, once that payment's over, tell the dealership you don't want it anymore and walk out of there and just walk to a Toyota dealership and buy the cheapest thing on the lot. You'll be fine. Next piece of terrible financial advice here is, you work hard, you deserve it, right? You've been working so hard, you've been making a lot of money, go treat yourself. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is probably some of the hardest financial advice to not follow. And the reason why is someone like me who's very in tune with my finances, I almost fell for this like 2 weeks ago. Like if you keep up with my channel, I got a new job and like it's been a while since I've like treated myself to something. So I got in the car, and I went to a watch store. I'm very into watches, right? Went to the watch store and I was looking at a $3,000 watch, and I'm like, in my head, I'm justifying it, right? I'm like, I've worked so hard. I reached a milestone. I'm in a new state now. I've been putting in a lot of time and effort, growing my finances. My net worth's doing good. I deserve this watch. It's $3,000. I can afford it. Let me buy it. And literally 5 minutes later, I'm like, what in the F am I doing here? Like, why am I doing this? And instantly, I walked out of the store and took that $3,000 and I put into investments. So don't do this. I know it's very tempting to fall into this because it's like you want to treat yourself, and I understand treating yourself. But treating yourself to a nice dinner is one thing. Treating yourself to very expensive items like a car or a watch or whatever it might be, it's very easy to fall for this, but you can recover from this. I would try to stay away from it as best as you can. I know at the end of the day, we all want to treat ourselves, but if you can invest that money or pay down debt, your future self's going to thank you way more than your current self who has a new shiny item to look at for a week or two. Next piece of terrible financial advice here is people telling you if you can afford the payment, you can afford it. This is one of the easiest ways to overspend money without realizing it. A low monthly payment doesn't mean something is actually affordable. It usually just means that the loan is stretched out a lot longer and has a higher interest rate. Not only that, you could technically afford a payment on a car or a house or anything really, but it still would be putting yourself in a very bad financial spot. You're not accounting for the total cost, the interest, the maintenance, or how it fits into your overall budget. For example, I could easily say I can afford the monthly payment on a 2024 M3 competition. The monthly payment would be around $1,000 a month. I could probably afford that. Does that mean I can afford a 2024 M3 competition? No, it does not. I would put myself in a terrible financial space if I made the jump just because I could afford the monthly payment. So this is financially cooked advice. And just because you can afford the monthly payment, please think twice about buying whatever it is, because more than likely you might not actually be able to afford the total cost. Next up on the list here is people telling you to have kids or pressuring you to have kids. Now, this obviously really isn't financial advice, but I will say, as a male who is 26 in the United States of America, once you get to a certain age, a lot of people, whether it's your family, your friends, people in your circle, will start almost putting a little bit of pressure on you. They'll start asking you, when are you going to have kids? When do you plan to start a family? Have you started thinking about having a family? Especially when a lot of your friends are having kids and stuff like that. And the truth is, if you want to have kids, great. I want to have kids. I would love to have a family one day. But having a kid in 2026 is one of the most expensive things you could ever do. Having kids is so expensive that you truthfully really need to plan it out now. So if you ever get pressured from your family, from your friends to have a kid when you're not ready for it, or if you have a kid when you're not ready of it, regardless of pressure or not, this will financially cook you. Like, this is some of the worst financial undertaking you could ever do, is having a kid. That's why for me, I plan to have kids probably in my early 30s because I want to be in the best financial position I can be before I even think about having kids. So definitely, this will financially cook you if you get pressured or listen to people or just have kids way too early. Next up on the list here is when your boys hit you up in Discord and they tell you, bro, you got to invest in this coin. It's going to the moon tomorrow. This is just like every other market we've talked about. No one can predict it, unless you are the owner of the coin and you're ready to rug pull 10,000 people, then obviously you might be able to predict where the coin is going. But like, story time for you guys. I don't know if you guys remember when like Elon Musk was supposed to go on SNL and talk about Dogecoin. I remember that like it was yesterday, because everyone I worked with at the mechanic shop I worked with, everyone was buying Dogecoin that night. And they were ready to get rich. They were talking about cars they were going to buy, houses they were going to buy. And I had one friend buy $5,000 worth of Dogecoin that night. Elon Musk went on SNL. I don't even think he mentioned Dogecoin. And ever since then, I don't think it's ever been that high in price. It's just crashed since then. So anyone who tries to pressure you and tell you that you're going to miss out because you're going to, you don't understand that the coin's going to explode tomorrow, don't listen to these people. This also will financially cook you if you're not careful. You could recover from this, but at the end of the day, anyone who tells you you're going to miss out on any type of cryptocurrency, don't listen to those people because more than likely you're going to lose your money. Next up on the list here is people telling you you need to pay off your mortgage ASAP. And this sounds respectable, right? But it's not always the smartest move. If you have a low interest rate, your money can usually earn more in the market than what you're saving by rushing to pay off your mortgage. You also lose a lot of flexibility. Once that money goes into your house, it's locked up. You can't use it for investing, emergencies, or any other opportunities. So that said, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be debt-free and being aggressive when it comes to paying off your mortgage, especially for peace of mind. But it's not always the best financial decision, and a lot of people will treat this like it's the best financial advice ever, when I don't even think it's that good of advice. So this is not the worst or the best. Don't rush to pay off your mortgage. I would use a lot of calculators and see where your money is better off, paying off your mortgage or actually investing it. Next up is staying loyal to a company. A lot of people say, hey man, stay loyal to a company for 40 years, it's gonna pay off. This is not good advice. I was one of those people 6 months ago, I actually would have told you this. I was loyal to my company, and then my company treated me like dog shit, and they were mean to me when I was looking at other opportunities. And now I have a whole different job at a different company making literally almost 3 times as more as I was making. So I don't think staying loyal to a company is the best advice ever. I do think if you like your company and they have good benefits and they're paying you really good, sure, stay loyal to them. But if you're young and you're trying to make as much money as possible in your field, staying loyal is probably not going to pay off. I don't think this is the best advice. I also don't think it's the worst advice. Once again, very situational based off the company you work at and kind of your career path. All right, last but not least here, some of the dumbest financial advice that I saw on the internet is people will tell you to carry a credit card balance to increase your score. This is just straight up going to cost you money for no reason. Here's a public service announcement. You do not need to carry a balance to build credit. That is a straight up myth. You will get charged interest, and all you're gonna do is you're gonna make Visa, Discover, you're gonna make all these credit card companies more money by doing this. And it does not help your score at all than just using a credit card and paying it off in full. By carrying a balance over from the prior month, you're literally just charging yourself more money. So every single time you use a credit card, pay it off in full. If you can, you gotta pay it off in full. It's not gonna grow your score anymore by carrying a balance. What grows your score is on-time payments, low utilization, and account history. Those are the 3 things that grow your score. So if anyone tells you to carry a credit card balance to increase your score, don't talk to those people anymore. Just blacklist them, forget they exist, don't listen to them because that is terrible financial advice. This will financially cook you. So there you have it. There is my ultimate list for some of the most dangerous financial advice that you will see on the internet or that people will tell you. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I scoured the internet looking for terrible financial advice, and this is an ultimate tier list here of what I think was some of the worst advice that I saw on the internet. So I appreciate you guys for watching. If you like this video, like and subscribe. I will catch you guys in the next one. And like I said, in the comments down below, let me know some of the worst financial advice, either one you have followed or you've just heard and stayed away from. But overall, I appreciate you guys for watching my videos. We are super close to 20,000 subscribers, which is insane to me. I mean, I know I've said this before, but I genuinely never thought ever I would have a YouTube channel with almost 20,000 subscribers. And I love interacting with you guys. I love talking to you guys in the comments. Some of you guys reach out to me personally for advice. I love giving you guys advice. So once again, thank you guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.